Welcome everyone to our next section. This is on chapter 9b, the second half of chapter 9. The first week we focused on angles, and now we are moving on to the Pythagorean theorem. We're going to begin developing this relationship inside of mathematics. Now, our first lesson that we are going to focus on is looking for a relationship in triangles. What kind of triangle can I make? Side lengths and triangles. Now, if you were here in class, I would be giving you these green squares. Now, these green squares come in different side lengths, and they create different areas, and they create different triangles. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at these relationships and write them down in our chart. So here we go. Our first problem, our first number, okay, is going to be this relationship. So I notice the small side is 4, the medium side 6, the large side 8. Now notice our squares say 6 squared, which is 6 times 6. But all we are recording is the side length. Now, it asks for area. The area of the small, 16. The area of the medium, 36. The area of the large, 64. Notice I just went in order. Small, medium, large. Okay, just going in order. Now it says the small plus the medium. Well, I notice 16 plus 36 equals 52. The large area is 64. Now I can compare them. Are they equal? Is 52 greater or is 52 less than 64? Well, that's definitely less. And the question is, what type of triangle do I see? Acute, obtuse, or right? Well, everything on this side of the line is known as obtuse. Everything on this side of the line is called acute. And on the line is a right triangle. Okay, those are our three options: obtuse, right, and acute. So this one is obtuse. See how this angle right here is obtuse. Now here's what I want you to do. Before I write down the second row, I want you to see if you can predict what numbers go where. Pause the video to make a prediction. Okay, now you should have already written down your second row based on the information at right. We're looking right here. And let's go ahead and see if your prediction was right. Do you know what I'm asking you to do? The small length 8, the medium length 12, the large length 13. Now I look at the areas: 64, 144, 169. Then I combine the small plus the medium. I'm thinking, what is 64 plus 144? Well, I know that is equal to 208. The large area, 169. And then I compare these two. 208 is definitely larger, and this is creating an acute triangle. Notice my line right here, and it is inside of that line, making it acute. Okay, what we are looking for are these patterns. Let's jump to row 3. Row 3, I'm looking right here. Pause the video to write down in the third row what you see. Okay, welcome back. You should have 5, 12, 13, 25, 144, 169, 169, because 25 plus 144 is 169. 169, they are equal, and this is known as a right triangle. Notice it is exactly on the line. Okay. Fourth problem. Is this a triangle? The answer, of course, is no. Notice that 3 plus 4 is not large enough to cover the distance 8. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So here's what I want you to do. You have several lines to fill out. Here are 5 pictures of right, obtuse, and acute triangles, and I want you to record the information. Pause the video to record these 5 problems. Okay, welcome back. You have these 5 problems recorded. You still have a couple lines left. So here are 3 more options for obtuse, acute, and right. Go ahead and record the information in the remaining boxes. Pause the video. All right. Now, you should have your entire chart filled out. I am not recording all of that, okay? What we do need to do is we need to make some conclusions based on what we have found. So, I've got some of the critical information down, and problem 9-52. When you had a problem that did not make a triangle, notice in the previous problem, if I go ahead and jump back to this problem right here, this does not make a triangle. Now let's go ahead and notice why. I notice in this problem that the small sides added together is not greater than the third side. Notice it is not big enough. So let's go ahead and record this conclusion on the line. 3 side lengths will not make a triangle if the 2 small sides added together is less than the third side. The 3 side lengths will not make a triangle if the 2 small sides added together is less than the third side. So what will make a triangle? Well, 3 side lengths will make a triangle if the 2 small sides added together is greater than the third side. Is greater than the third side. Okay, now that is simply making a triangle. The question is, what is the relationship creating acute, obtuse, and right? Well, when we look at your chart, did you notice every time you saw the word obtuse, it was this symbol? And every time it was acute, it was a greater than. And every time it was a right triangle, it was equal to. Let's go ahead and record that information. Okay? If 3 squares have sides that make an acute triangle, then the sum of the 2, notice the sum of the 2 small areas is less than the third side. Okay? Notice this is less than the large. Okay? So what about obtuse? If three squares have sides that make an obtuse triangle, then the sum of the area of the two squares is larger than the third side. Notice, similar sentence frame, but instead of less than, you use greater than or larger than. Third relationship. If three squares have sides that make a right triangle, then the sum of the two small squares is equal to the third side. Is equal to the third side. So what we're going to do is, now that we have these relationships in place, we actually have to put them in practice. So in our problem, it says, use the patterns you found to predict whether the set of lengths below will form a triangle. Notice there are two parts. So I'm going to tackle this part in red. Notice I'm going to do all of them. I'm going to think, okay, which of these are triangles first? Because I had to have the two small sides. So to be a triangle, small plus medium must be greater than the large. Okay, so notice 5 plus 6, 11 is greater than 7. This is a triangle. Notice I just drew a triangle. Okay, whereas problem letter B, small plus medium is 13. 13 is not greater than 15. So I write is not a triangle. Now you need to look at C, D, E, F and decide which is a triangle and which is not a triangle. Pause the video now. Okay, part 2. If a set will form a triangle, state whether the triangle will be acute, obtuse, or right. Justify your conclusion. So notice, B was not a triangle, so I don't need to do this work for B. But I do need to find out A and some others. So here's how I found that, okay? It was the area of the small plus the area of the medium, and then we'll decide greater than, less than, or equal to the third side. So I know that 5 squared is 5 times 5. 6 squared is 36. 7 squared is 49. I know that this is greater than. Okay? And if I know that the two small squares is greater than the third, then you're thinking acute. So you go ahead and record acute. The key to this is thinking squares, not side lengths, squares. Please feel free to use your calculator to figure this out. Once you have identified if it's a triangle, you need to identify, is it acute, obtuse, or right, by squaring the side length. All right, thanks for coming to lesson 921, developing an understanding of triangle relationships. We will talk soon in our next lesson. See you then.